Hello and good evening to the opening portal show with myself tonight, Nigel Mortimer. Helen's not with us tonight. She's been. Well, I'll explain to you in a second what's actually happened. This is the first show that we've come back to, and was hoping to go up to the portal, which is about 400 or 500 meters away from here, and to actually be filming live at the portal site. That's the whole intention of the program, but. We found that we've got a slight problem in that the lighting up there needs to be. We've only been able to go up in the daytime and test this thing to see if we can record up there. And unfortunately, the lighting that we have just isn't adequate to get a good picture through. So hopefully we can get that sorted by next week or maybe the week after. It may be just the fact that we're going to have to do these shows from the studio here and then take it from there really and see if when the lighter weather comes what we can do then. But what we will do in the meantime is, because obviously the whole show is about showing you how we investigate at the portal site and what we're actually doing there, is that what we want to do is to maybe go up at the weekends before the show or during the week, and then although it won't be live as such, we can record live while we're there and then put that on the show on the following Thursday until the brighter weather comes, and then it shouldn't be too long away in the spring, and then we can actually be streaming straight from the site itself then. So just bear with us. Tonight I'm going to be explaining anyway more about what the show's about, and it's only for an hour anyway. Now I want to explain before we do start, it's a different show. There might be some of the listeners that remember us from last time, and I was getting guests on, such like, well-known names really, from the UFO subject, to actually come into the program and stream live on Skype and interview with them. And I know people love to see that, but to be honest with you, the equipment that we've got at the moment just does not suffice for that. So what we're going to try and do is, like I say, focusing on the portal itself and show you how we actually investigate. And from time to time, we are going to get guests on, and people that will Skype and record and get them on the show in that way, to give their views on the portals and things like that. So it will be interactive, and I'm hoping that people that are out there that are listening, tonight, will bear with us and understand that. Okay. Just one thing before we start, I was just going to mention there, many of my friends from Facebook and people that are fairly new to the show are probably already listening to one of my great friends, Russ Kellett. I know Derek Savory out there, and Steve Wills, Gary Moore, one or two of the others out there probably have been listening to nearly every night basically to Russ's show. And what I don't want to do at all by running the opening portal show. Now Russ, you're a naughty boy because you're on every night, and I was trying to find a night that you weren't on, but I can't find one, so obviously I've had to choose one. So what I've decided to do instead is to actually run it only for an hour, okay? And I know that most of the listeners that I've just mentioned on your show go onto your show around 9 o'clock-ish, that you start debating the UFOs and things. So I'm going to end this show around 9, so that any of you that are listening, Derek, Steve, Gary, if you want to go straight over then to Russ's show, you're not going to miss a thing, are you? So I'm hoping we can get the best of both worlds here. Russ's show is more interactive, where you can ring in, you can give your comments, you can do all that sort of thing. Whereas my show is really about giving information and sharing that with you about what we're actually doing at the portal, and views on that really. So they're two different types of shows, and I'm hoping that you can have time for both of them really. I certainly don't want to be treading on Russ's toes. I listen to Russ's show myself, so I'll be doing that straight after this show, and hopefully we can support each other and everything will be fine. Okay, right, so let's get on with this show. Opening portal, show 1 of 2014. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. I've not had a chance to do that. They're listening. Helen and I, want to send you our love and blessings really, and hope that this year brings around the sort of changes that we want in the world. It's been a tough time for most people, from all over the world really, and let's hope that the positive energies come in now and that we can move this all forward. Okay, now there's one thing I've noticed. I don't know if you listeners out there have noticed it yourself in the last sort of week or two on Facebook in particular, in the social media posts. there've been quite a lot of pictures of these people that are celebrities posing with animals. I'm talking about wild game and lions, tigers, elephants, that sort of thing, that they've actually hunted and shot. And it's almost like, I don't know why these people feel they have to do that. And you find that in a lot of cases that these celebrities have stated in the past that they're totally against cruelty to animals, yet then they go out and justify somehow, that it's right to go and put a bullet in the body of one of these animals. That just doesn't sit right with me, and there seems to be a growing trend with it almost, which, I'm sure most of the listeners that listen to this programme, will be as sickened as I am at that. There's nothing, gracious about killing any life form, great or small. It's just a power thing, a control thing, and when you see them posing there with the blood stained all over their hands and holding the rifle as if they've done something really good, can they not see, within themselves of what they've actually have done? They've taken away the life energy from a beautiful animal that never did anything wrong to them, and it's almost it's criminal. It's just criminal. It's murder, and these people, we say it, don't we? We often wonder what it'd be like if the boot was on the other foot, and some of these animals. Well, be careful, because there could be life forms out there that may regard us, as being lesser beings, and let's just hope they have the intelligence and the decency within themselves to realise that all life forms are sacred, and they don't go around trying to pop off with air guns one or two of us earthlings, because I'm sure we'd have a completely different attitude then towards life, if we became the victims. These animals don't even know why they've been killed when that happens. They're just, well, don't want to be on a negative start of this show, but I just want to show you that. I mean, we feel this, people like ourselves, we get mocked for being sort of like lovers of the light and but at least we've got hearts and we understand what life is, and, we're not perfect. I mean, don't get me wrong, none of us are. I look back, and in my sort of like teens, and I still have an interest in it, because we all have interest. I used to go fishing a lot, and the amount of fish that I've hit over the head with, stones and things, and killed them, and then got home, and for some reason the stench of death on my hands, or what I'd done, stopped me from actually eating them. I just couldn't come to actually put that flesh of the fish that I'd killed in my mouth. Now that's telling us something, isn't it? It didn't take me too many years to work out that the act of killing is the problem. Because if somebody had just presented, well, buy fish all the time, from fish and chip shops and supermarkets and things, and we just eat it without thinking, we just see it as the food. But the act of actually killing something that's living does leave a bigger stain than any of those celebrities have got on their hands, believe you me. It touches the soul, and I know we've all got to, some people argue that, vegetarianism's the right way to go and things and that, but it really comes down to size, that, But anyway, at the end of the day, people aren't eating, are they, these lions and elephants and things? They're just killing them for sport, and why they call it sport, unbelievable. This is the problem we've got. These same people, these celebrities as well, people that should know better, that should take examples. They're the ones that you'll see on telly next that are asking in campaigns to send money over to people in countries, war-torn countries that are suffering. Yet then they'll go out to some of these countries and kill the animals that live alongside them. Crazy world, absolutely crazy world. Anyway, let's move on from there, but I just thought I would mention it because I'm hoping this trend of taking these pictures and putting them on Facebook ends pretty soon. It's not a thing that we need to be promoting at all. Okay, the other thing that I'm just going to mention quickly before we go to my next piece is I'm just hoping that everybody can hear me okay and everything's coming through all right. Yeah. I see one or two people are putting some comments there. Now, unfortunately, Chris, so you can hear me, it's going to be very difficult tonight to do the chat room. I'm hoping to get that sorted out. Like I say, Helen isn't with me. She's still trying to get back from where we were doing the lighting. So she would be on the chat room, and while I'm doing the actual show itself, taking all the comments and getting my responses out through to you. So you can just bear with us this week. Anybody else that's listening there, if you want to leave some comments, I certainly will, as soon as I can during the show or after it, get back to you and give my response to you. But it's going to be a different show this week. We're just going to try and get through it, with information really, and I hope you enjoy it in that way. We've got some lovely music coming up, by the way, soon, which is very, very nice, and I hope I'm promoting this guy all the time at the moment. In fact, I'll be talking a little bit more about this guy's music on the DVD that we're hoping to make about the opening portals, okay? Right, animal killings, we've discussed that. I know it's not a good thing to start any sort of show off with, but I know I share your energy out there, folks, and I know that, like Chris has put on here, complete waste. And yes, it is complete waste. Well done, Chris. Okay, the other thing that was really interesting I found, I'm sure people who are listening from overseas might not know so much about this, but certainly the people in this country will. I've seen that one or two of you, Samantha Mansi, she's been posting about it in the opening portals forum. Is this helicopter, this US, we call them a gunship helicopter or something, or I don't know, an attack helicopter that's actually come down in Norfolk a couple of days ago. Now, quite a few people have been saying that are on the Facebook page that there's something odd about this, and I didn't take a lot of notice of that, to be honest with you, because helicopter crashes do happen. They can happen anywhere. But I started to take much more notice of it when I realised that I saw it on the RT News the other night, that the guy that was in charge of the flight team of the unfortunate 4 airmen that died in this helicopter crash made a statement saying that, and this was sort of early evening yesterday, saying that they were not going to move any of the bodies out of the actual wreckage of the helicopter because it may disturb any evidence that they need to look at with regard to how the helicopter crashed. Now, don't get me wrong, I can't see, is this a precedent? Because I can't see where that has ever happened before. I mean, were these people actually, I don't want to sound flippant here because I don't want to be, but it doesn't take a lot of imagination to realise that if people are going to get killed in any sort of air crash, it's not going to be nice, is it? Now the thing is, are these people in positions where it stops the investigators from getting into the actual helicopter and looking at, I don't know, readings on dials or a black box of information thing? I don't know, I'm not a technical expert on this, but I can't imagine why all 4 of these, like I say, unfortunate airmen that have died there, their bodies are in positions within the wreckage of the craft that stops them from being removed for like 3 whole days after it had happened, and it was scheduled, I don't know if it's happened now, it was scheduled for them to be removed in the early hours of this morning. If you know about that, I'm going to go onto the opening portals Facebook page and let me know if them bodies have been removed now. That'd be interesting to see. But it's almost like was there any video footage of around the wreckage? Very, very odd. There's something not quite right there, and there are 1 or 2 rumours that maybe this thing was brought down. The fact that it was carrying live rounds. I've been told that is the case. They do carry live rounds even when they're training. But it's scattered, they're scattered over a massive area. Would this happen if the thing just came down in one spot? Don't know. We need the experts on it. I know Win Keach, if he's listening out there, he's good on these sort of things, and Russ as well. They seem to know quite a lot about the aeronautics and things, and maybe they can throw some light on this. But it does seem very, very odd. And remember, it's in an area, Norfolk, we're not far from Suffolk, it's all down that, what they call the southeastern side of the coast, where in Lincolnshire especially, I remember investigating a case of a UFO there in the early 1980s at a place called Louth, Louth, which was going down that way towards the Norfolk area. And there was a place there from, I'm going back a bit now, but what I remember, it was RAF Donnybrook. And I remember for a spate in the early 1980s, there were jets and things that had come down in that area that had been crashed, and what alerted me to it was that I was receiving information at the same time of people that were holidaying in that area close to the RAF base. There was a mile range, sort of like a training range along that part of the coast that these jet fighters used to come quite low down into and screech along the actual shoreline and then back out into the airspace on training tactical manoeuvres. But some of these people that were close by in holiday camps and things used to watch them, and obviously when they saw something strange they'd be alerted to it. And I remember one case, man, it was amazing, where there was 3 people, and I actually went down there to investigate this properly myself, was where a lady, a husband and a young daughter, and they had a pet dog as well, saw this dome-like craft come over the sea towards them, towards this place called Donanook. That was it, Donanook. This RAF base. I think it was American run at that time. But they saw this almost like they described it like a massive glass goldfish bowl, but you could see right through it, and it had an orangey red tinge to it. And this came so close over them that they had no cameras with them, unfortunately, from what I remember. But they all described that they could virtually, it came so close down, it must have been about 10, 12 feet up in the air, that they could touch the underneath of the glass. And they said to me there were living beings, people. They call them people. They thought they were people. Now, this throws out a whole can of worms what these UFOs might be. But he said there were people dressed in smart, like military uniforms, actually inside this glass globe-like UFO that just shot after hovering over them for a while, shot off into the distance. Now, 1980s, it was very difficult then to actually get witnesses to take that step further and look into hypnosis and things. That hadn't quite come yet. We hadn't quite reached that period of the mid-80s where hypnotic regression was being used quite a lot. So it was on the agenda, but very difficult to do. So it never went that far. But I'd be amazed to if them people ever get to listen to this, or if we ever find out who they are. I'll have to look back through my old files and maybe I can find their names again. But this what I'm trying to say is that this helicopter crash that's happened in that sort of basic region, stretching right down that coast towards where Derek Savory goes at Rendlesham Forest, the site of the famous UFO landing there. There seems to be, there's attraction, don't there, between these UFOs, whatever they are, that people are seeing there, and these military bases. Definite connection. And when we hear of these like helicopter crashes and things, and these mysterious circumstances, like the bodies that surround things like that, makes you wonder. I mean, are they hiding something, that's happened to these people that brought this craft down, this helicopter down? Just an open question. Okay? I'm hoping we'll find out more about that. But as in a lot of these cases, they come and go, and we get no clearer evidence of what's really happened. It's soon hushed up. But who knows? Anybody got any insights on that? Again, go on the opening portals. Samantha Mantis started a thread there, and I'm sure if you've got any comments on that, you can add your thoughts to it. Okay. Right. I'm going to go now to a little bit of music. Just for a couple of minutes or so. I just want to check that everything's working okay. I hope you can hear me okay, and I hope that everything's coming through nice and clearly. This is more of a test run, like I say, today, so let's hope this goes well. This is called The Power of Light by Divine Song. And why I picked this was this group, although it's very African and lovely music, it's actually got quite a New Year, Christmassy sort of backing theme to it. Don't be thinking I'm playing a Christmas song. I'm not. We're going past that, but you'll see what I mean anyway. I'll play it now, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, here we are, back again. Alright, just make sure that everything seems to be okay. You can all hear me okay there? That's great. Okay, yeah, that was Divine Song, Power of Light. And I'm going to be playing some more tracks off these free-to-air, because I don't have a license actually to play any of the current sort of music that's been recorded, but these that give sort of a overall sort of free license to play on these sort of shows, and I don't mind because there's some lovely songs out there and lovely tunes, and let's hope that we can give the smaller bands, a bit of promotion. I'm going to be just if I can get hold of him. My son Lee plays guitar, and Warren, both my sons, and now Ben, my other son's learning. I'm hoping to promote their music on here as well at some point, some weeks. So it'll be a family duo, and Helen, she plays the keyboard, so you never know, we might all end up playing something, you never know. But anyway, but if you've got any music that you make yourself and it's all free license, you've no copyright on it and you don't mind it being played on air, send it through to me, we'll put it on one week on the show. I'm sure other people can enjoy your music then, and if it's the right type of music, that you all want to listen to, and people like it, we might repeat it, week after week, who knows. Okay, that sounds great. So I'll say that was Divine Song by Power of Light. Now, what I'm going to do next is, I don't know if people have noticed that on the Opening Portals Facebook page this last couple of weeks, I've been talking about some information I got channeled about trying to make a device. I call it a device, but it's more like a screen, really, to use up at the portal. I just turn this up a little bit because I've just been told that I can't hear you very well. I think it's lagging due to the sunspots plasma hitting us at the moment. Could be. Thanks for that, Chris, or whoever's put that, because yeah, not a lot I can do about that. What I'm going to do is, like I say, it's a test run this week, really, on the show. So if you can just bear with these things, and then what I'll do is I'll look at the recording after the show, and then where it's lagging and things, I can do a few fiddles around with the settings and see if I can improve it for next week. So if you can just bear with me, that's fantastic, because it's all learning curve, The fact that I'm actually getting this streamed out to you is a minor miracle for me, to be honest with you. I'm not that up on all of these things, so hopefully, things will be a little bit better for next week. Okay, I was going to mention this portal device that I'm using. I actually got channeled through to me. I've had this idea, I'll be honest with you, I've had this idea in my head for a while I've been writing my book that's coming out in February, UFOs, Portals and Gateways, that portal areas were ancient sites. I've had that feeling, and information for that's been given to me for years. But I've also sort of seen a crossover between the early biblical texts to do with Jacob's ladder and the standing stone pillar that it was obviously he went to an ancient site where that took place. And then you look at the Masonic law, and it's full of these sort of biblical texts towards where certain stones, of like Jacob's the stone of destiny and this type of thing, and Solomon's temple, which had another stone within the Ark of the Covenant in the centre of it. And it makes you wonder that if the pillars, I started to wonder, the pillars of the Temple of Solomon represent something that goes way, way back to the ancient sort of Neolithic times of the two gateway standing stones. And maybe something happens there. Anyway, that was in my mind, and as happens, sometimes you think it's you thinking these things, but on a subconscious level, it's actually channeled information coming to you. And then when I started to go to sleep at night, I definitely started getting channeled information from my guy Sherlock, almost confirming this and giving me extra information on how to build this device. Okay, so I started to jot down the next morning. I woke up one morning really excited. I said to him, "You're not going to believe what I channeled last night." I said, "I've seen this thing working." And I said, "If it works half as good as what I've seen, we're going to get some amazing evidence from the portal." So I started, like I said, jotting down all the descriptions of it, and I could see the parallels between the pillars and things of the Solomon's Temple. So as some of you will have seen, I built these things. I've got a little video here that explains it, so I just want to play this for you. Only a couple of minutes long, but it shows you exactly what I am on about. Okay, so just bear with me a second, and here it is. Right, here we've got the device. You can just see behind me there. Sorry about that. that I've been constructing from channeling with my guide over the last couple of weeks. Ignore the cat's tail there sticking up. He's got to, there's Shadow under the chair. He's got to be involved somewhere. Right, I just want to just use part of the show to explain what exactly this frame device type thing is and where the idea originally came from and how all this sort of is fitting together. As you can see, it's basically about the size of a notice board, and I could have made this bigger, to be honest with you, but I decided not to because I've got to make it portable and be able to get it up to the portal, which is pretty difficult climbing up the hill there. So I decided to make something that, you know, I thought, well, maybe size wouldn't matter in this case, so I've made something that I can basically take up in a bag and then put in position, different positions within the horseshoe vortex of the portal at Settle. So I just want to explain to you what happened first before I go into actually what the frame device is made of and what its purpose is. What happened was I've been doing a fair bit of research for my book that's coming out in the next month or so, and the avenue that I seemed to be taken down was one of really researching and talking about the way that ancient sites seem to be the key to where portals are. I mean, to go into all
I've just said that.
I'm just going to tell you basically the idea of the gateway stones at stone circles seem to be cropping up all the time. That people were seeing them literally as, you know, the name implies, gateways or dimensional gateways as such. And then I took this idea, looking at biblical references, especially the story of Jacob, which we all know about in the Bible, Jacob's ladder, how we actually worked with what they call sabers, which are standing stones, and one of these was actually became the stone of destiny, the pillow that Jacob was supposedly able to put on the ground and sleep on. But what's always sort of missed out really in the story a lot is the fact that after he had the vision and seen the angels going up to heaven and back down, this saber stone was actually erected by him and became part of a standing stone collection that was in that area. It's called the Bethel area of Bethel, which means the house of God. Now, the house of God keeps cropping up in the Bible relating to this particular stone, and it basically means, in simple terms, that this stone is a dwelling place for whatever supernatural forces they call God would be at particular sites. And it seems from when you read the stories of Jacob, Enoch, Moses, and all the patriarchs from the Old Testament, there seems to be almost a compulsion to carry stone-like artifacts around with them, these masabas, to different ancient sites. Many of the places I've researched for the book show that they're actually sites that previously to the stories in the Bible were pagan and cultic centres, with stone circles and that type of thing. So there's some importance to the biblical scholars to show that these stones, these standing stones from the east, were important as gateways at these ancient portal areas. Now that moves on in time towards the times of King Solomon building the original temple, and I have a feeling that there's something to do with the Ark of the Covenant being some sort of device. I haven't quite got my head fully around that. I'm doing some more research into that, but again, if you look at the historic record, you'll see that where these masabas, these standing stones, these gateway stones, there's usually two of them. That's where we get gateways from today for fields and things. There's a gap between the walls, and there are two stones put there, which become the gateway. These gateway stones became in Solomon's temple the bronze pillars, and literally in the Bible, these stones, although they're called masabas, they actually are called pillars as well. So there's a crossover in reference there to the objects serving the same sort of purpose, really. So that's where the idea was forming in my head that maybe the old masabas, standing stones from the earliest times in Genesis, may have eventually been taken from that particular period, Neolithic period, into a later period where, around the time of King Solomon in particular, these symbolic stones, these standing stones, held properties that were important and were placed at the front of the temple of the two pillars that we find there of Joas and Joachim and Boaz. So it's interesting, and this is really important, these two pillars, as you know, in Freemasonic law, that they herald the gateway to the great secrets and the different degrees and things. So I was already thinking about this, but then I started to get channeling from my guy Charlotte, who really brought imagery, extra imagery into my mind about this. I started to say, well, you can still build this sort of, we call it a temple, which is a house of God, again, but because of the limitations of our knowledge, believe you me, the ancients knew a lot more than what we do today, that it would be possible to only build something that would be able to change the electromagnetic field within the portal area and show the imagery of entities that are using this portal. Some are humanoid, some are ET, some are probably quite unknown to us and take on many forms, but they would be able to impose their image in the EM field. But we have a problem, and that's that our eyes are unable to actually see into this EM field, only on very rare occasions. Think about, when people often describe having UFO encounters or supernatural encounters with phenomena, the times of the day and the year when these take place is, for instance, at Halloween, towards the back end of the year when the nights are drawing in, quicker and the days are shorter. That it's almost a half light that these things are seen in, and then we get through all days of the year where we get the different religions that celebrate summer solstice and winter solstice. We have these days where the atmospheric conditions are again that twilight, that half light, where things are able to probably manifest themselves onto this projection in a way that we better see them with the natural eye. Now, I was told in my channeling that the best way to do this, to show up the electromagnetic field, is to put a black background to this field. That's why we've got the black frame there, which is just a cloth covered board basically, that will be illuminated by a battery source at the bottom. I'll explain in a second. But that's where it all comes from, that we're trying to imitate the natural conditions that are found at these ancient sites to see if they work like the portals that we think they do, So that's what it is. So I'm just going to now mention about the actual frame itself. I hope you can see okay. I've been trying to get this into a good position where we can actually, I'm sorry if I turn around away from this, but I will try and point to the things the best I can, really, for you. Right, this here, there's two of these tubes. You can see there's one there, and there's one. Right, I'm really sorry about that. I've just been going to check on the other computer, and I found that the sound is terrible that's coming through. I don't know if you're getting that problem as well where you are, but I don't know what I can do about that. I'm going to have to look into this properly for next week. Could you just ask, I know Chris is on here, and anybody else that's listening, if you could just pop in the chat room. Chris, if you're already in there, could you just ask you if you can hear when I'm talking on this part here? If it's coming through clear, or if it's just the same or garbled. Would that be possible? Thank you. If you can just pop your answer in the chat room, and then I can take it from there, okay? It may be that it's on the original video, I might have to look into the properties of that and see why that's happening. Okay. I'll leave that. We're going to leave that transmission till later, and hopefully I can sort that out. If not, I'll have to pop it on next week's. But for now, anyway, I'm just going to go on with a little bit of an advert. Okay, and then we'll see if we can sort this out for in a little while. Okay. Hello, I'm back again. Seem to having a few little technical problems here. We can hear me. Because it said now I can hear your breath, but no video sound. Yeah. Thank you, folks. Just managed to turn off. That's it. Back again. Okay, so now I can hear you breathe, but no video sound. Oh, that's interesting, Chris. Okay. For some strange reason, my microphone keeps turning itself off. Very strange. Can you hear me now, folks? Yep. Well, that is odd. Hello? Oh. Well, if you can hear me breathe, it proves one thing, I'm still alive. Let's hope we can sort of get this sorted out for next week and, take it from there. Right, okay. So we're going to move on anyway. The video thing, I don't know what's happened there. I've tried to boost all the audio levels up as far as I can. I'm just getting nothing more out of it, and that's very unusual. But when you do try to take it up even higher, it seems to distort. I am using a new program, to be honest with you, and I might have to go back for next week, revert back to my original one and take it from there. Okay, we've got about a quarter of an hour of the program left now then, and I just want to mention a couple of things that have been interesting me in the last week or so. I don't know if anybody's ever read this book. I'm going to hold it up to the camera there, right? I hope you can see it. Do you know, I can never know whether you go up or down on these cameras. That's it, I've got it. The Kingdom of the Ark by Lorraine Evans. Now, this book is all about, basically, the startling story of how the ancient British race is descended from the pharaohs. Okay, which sounds an amazing thing to state. And this book, I think, came out in about 1994. I certainly was amazed when I read it, because what it does, basically, and I would say to anybody, try and get hold of a copy of this book and read it, because it will amaze you as to how the migration of the ancient races from ancient Egypt, how far they actually got. There's even evidence that they may have got as far as Norway, but they certainly got to the British Isles around the time of the 18th dynasty in Egypt, which would be around the time of the heretic pharaoh Akhenaten, who was the father of the more famous pharaoh Tutankhamun. Now, in that book, Lorraine Evans states, as I say, that Akhenaten's daughter, called Meritaten, who is Scota in the Gaelic tradition, was the founder of Scotland. Doesn't take a lot of working out. Scotaland, Scotland. Okay, and she was actually Akhenaten, the pharaoh's daughter. Now, she puts a lot of historical evidence to show that Akhenaten's daughter migrated to Spain with her Greek husband, Mylius, and then Mylius and her came over to land at a place called Glen Scota, which is named after her now, in Southern Ireland, and then fought her way up to where the the ancient Tara kings are at Tara, on the west coast of Ireland. So, and also there was a battle that she died in, and her descendants are the founders of Scotland eventually. It's a long story, but the main aspect is that there's quite a lot of evidence that she made her way to Ireland, and then Scotland was named after her. And it's funny, I always wondered about this, but I once got talking to somebody in Scotland and told me that the gypsy races, which originate from the ancient Egyptians, a lot of them, or that Mediterranean area, are the only race in the country that are allowed free passage into Scotland, which is a bit odd, isn't it, when you think about, I wonder why. Could there be any connection there with this ancient tradition of Scota? Anyway, I'm not going to go over old ground here, but what I want to just show you is that book came out 10 years after, and I'm going to show you two more books here, I wrote all my notes from 1980. Here they are. People have seen this picture before, but this is the little blue handwritten book that, God, that's it. I'm going to get this sort of in picture. There you go. You can see it's all in handwriting with a pen. Hundreds of pages, and I have two of these volumes. There you go. Look, you can see it's all handwritten. Okay. Two of these books, and it's the full story of how my guide Charlotte came to me. There's the other book, the red book as well, which eventually became the book that I actually published, called The Circle and the Sword. But when I was handwriting this, things were actually happening in 1980. My guide was coming to me, called Charlotte, who is connected with the UFO that I saw in 1980. And it's an account, a written account, of how he taught me how to channel. But one of the things which ties directly in with the Kingdom of the Ark by Lorraine Evans is that he told me 10 years before the publication of that book, at a time when everybody around me was laughing at me, he told me that there would be evidence found in Southern Ireland that the ancient Egyptians founded the race of people in that land. And it all connected, actually, funnily enough. Later I started to channel like an ant. How did I not know at that time how closely connected his channeling was? And it was proven. It was proven by her eventually. And there's been other authors, historical authors, like Ralph Ellis. He's done a book on Scota. You know, there are other authors and historians now that more or less say, I think there was a body actually exhumed from the hills at Tara of a young boy king who had the same sort of beads on that we find around the necks of the pharaohs and that in ancient Egypt at that time. So there's definitely a connection there. I just want to share that with you, and there's a reason behind it. The reason is this. Some of you on here will know that there have been allegations from 14 Times, which I don't want to go over again and again, and it's an ongoing legal process that's happening at the moment. But these people did a direct, without going into too much detail, direct attack on me personally, stating that I make up all my channeling, that Charlotte, I once told a person called Paul Bennett, who was a friend of mine, but has completely made an unfounded statement that saying that I once told him that I could make a lot of money out of channeling and that I made everything up about Charlotte, which is completely untrue. I've never said that at all to anyone, never mind him. And he knows this, he knows he's lying there. But the thing is that I've got the evidence in books like this that were dated and written from 1980 that show you, as it happens, and Mr. Bennett, if you can see this, if you see this video, I'd love to know what your reaction to all this is, because you're actually mentioning it quite a lot when you actually helped me with some of those events that I was channeling in. But anyway, you know, time moves on, and what I'm trying to say is it's more important that what it shows, and what I've got evidence of there, is that my guide, Charlotte, is not only genuine, but gave me information a decade before it came out that proves, in fact, the information he's given me that still hasn't come yet, but I'm sure it will do soon, and it's all connected with the way that coastlines are being eroded and things, that in that part of southern Ireland that's been identified as Glen Scota, the place where the Egyptian pharaoh's daughter Meritaten was supposed to have been buried after the battle. There was going to be found eventually by historians, which will ultimately prove all of this, what they call, I've forgotten the actual name of it now, it's a certain type of lapel-like necklace that's all full of beads and feathers and things. I've forgotten the actual Egyptian name for it. I do know it normally, but it's gone out of my head. But anyway, one of those is going to be found buried in that southern part of Ireland, and that will prove it ultimately that there is a connection between these two different cultures, and that we're all part of, in fact, most British people and most European people actually are descended from the ancient Egyptians. And that may be one of the reasons why we're so fascinated with them all, because we are part of their DNA, part of their genes. But, you know, that's just one example, and through the weeks I'm going to give you other examples of the type of information that my guide Charlotte channeled to me that shows that not only is he a genuine personage that has lived many lives in this world and helped many people bring in love, insight, healing and light to this world, and continues to do so, he evidences it, and I am so happy that you know, I was chosen and a lot of other people, I'm not unique, a lot of other people have been chosen by him through time and at this time to actually do this work to prove that we are, we're limitless beings. We're beings of energy, and we can transcend time and space, and we are able to pick up information from the future and bring it back to prove events. I mean, who cares about winning the lottery and things? To me, that's more important. We get a true sense of the history of where we're all from by the information that my guy brought through than any historical book you're going to read anywhere. They're not going to tell you this because it doesn't fit in with the historical timelines of tradition that have been laid down. But we're finding out the truth for ourselves. And it's all part of the Great Awakening, the great realization that we're free spirits, we're free human beings, and we are able to access this information. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you found that interesting. Something that's close to my heart, and I keep going back through all my old notes. I'm surprised at what I actually wrote in there, and I've forgotten quite a lot of it, but I'm getting on a bit now, remember. This is 30 odd years ago I wrote a lot of this stuff, and like I say, it's been a long, long journey, and I just will say this at the end of it. The legal process that is happening with the 14 Times, they're still denying everything. They reckon that they've given me a full apology in the latest issue of the magazine. All it says is a one-liner that my photograph that they stole should have been credited to me. They're the words. We should have credited Nigel Mortimer. No apology, nothing. It shows what they're like. And by the time I'm hoping this is all finished, there'll be justice done. And, people will see that the type of people that they employ, and I won't mention names from this point on because there is an ongoing legal issue with this, but the type of people that they employ to write articles which they claim is good journalism. Well, I've actually had that article looked at by an expert at Lancaster University, and they've said it's an appalling article, and it's just slander from start to finish. So if they want to fill their magazines full of that rubbish, that's up to them. I'd rather, let's get on with the real stuff, eh? Let's get this portal information out there. Let's get the channeling information out there. And let's show that there's a real truth behind this phenomenon that we want to share with all of us, And if they want to waste the time, they can be as big a skeptic as they like. They're going to get nowhere. Nowhere at all. Okay, right. So, I've just covered up what I'm going to do next because my book's in the way. We've got about 5 minutes of the show left. I don't want to overrun this show because we've had a few problems. I'm just keep looking on the, if I can get back to the actual, chat room to see what, right, well people are beginning to hear it better I think now. If you did any problems here in the show or anything like that, or any tips or anything that you could offer me, please go on the Opening Portals webpage and I'll only be too happy to listen to what you've got to say because we need to improve this and make it as good as we can. I'm looking into getting more equipment and that's where I come on to my next point. Just before I do that, I just want to play this quickly for you and then while I prepare my information and then that's it. There we go. Right, very, very quickly because it's time's running out, as it does with these things. I just want to mention, I'm going to talk more about this next week because there'll be more detail to it, but most of you who are listening on here that have been on the Facebook page will know that I'm running a campaign. It's going to be difficult to tell you this quickly. I don't want it to look as if we're just trying to, compete, especially what's been happening with David Icke with the Indiegogo campaigns and the Sonia Poulton accusations and things. Believe you me, people that know me will know that we're doing this for one reason only. We're trying to get some funds together to actually be able to go up to the portal document what's really happening there, tell the story of how the portal came about, the government cover-up behind it, the actual physical evidence that's happening there, the video evidence and things, which is ongoing, and we're wanting to put this onto a package to get the people that know what's happening there and that to talk, and one or two of you have offered to put your details onto the DVD, which is fantastic. We want to get this together to make a proper professional DVD, which we can present to the TV channels and ask them to actually run this to get this truth out there. Now, can't do this on my own. I'm as skint as the rest of you. So, it's something that's well out of our pocket. Now, I put a massive amount there, I agree, of £17,000. Now, people say, well, that's ridiculous, I don't care if I get a 10 for that, but we've got to put an amount that will cover everything. We can't afford any of the equipment to do this. We've outlined what we need and what we will, the efforts we'll put in to make the DVD and that. So, even if you can afford a £5, that will help. I think it was Chris Lingham that mentioned earlier that if everybody in the Opening Portals Facebook page actually gave us £15, we'd cover that money easily. Well, I'm not even saying 15, right, Chris? Let's say a £5. If everybody could just put a £5 there. God, I sound like David Icke. I don't want to do that. I'm not too sure if I want to be like David Icke. I'm going to talk another week about the principles there. Don't get me wrong, it's done a lot of good for with his views down the years and things, and we all have, some are for him, some are against him, but there needs to be transparency, and that's what you will get with me. Every time somebody makes a donation, I will show exactly what the figure is and where it's gone to, and you'll be shown pictures of the equipment we've bought and how much it's costing. Be all above board, and remember, you help, you get perks, you get things back, you could be on the DVD, you can get free tickets to the New Awareness Conference, there are all sorts of things. So go to the website, which is http // lowercase igg.me/at/UFO portal, all lowercase. Okay, I'll just give you that again. So the campaign is http / lowercase igg.me/at/UFO portal, all lowercase. Okay, and if you can just give the minimum on there, I think you can actually give less than what it actually asks for. So even if it's a couple of pound, it all adds together, and it'll help us to bring off this fantastic, DVD, and you'll be a part of bringing, what we really think is groundbreaking evidence that we've got here, and we really need to show it to the world. Okay, I'm speaking on this portal subject as well in March at the Probe Conference, so look out for details of that. That's in Blackpool, in Yorkshire, in England, and one or two other places around the country as well, which I'll talk about next week because time is going on. It's about a minute away from, I was going to play some more music, but I'll have to wait till next week. So, thank you very much for listening to this week. I know it's been a bit of a hectic race, it's just been an hour. We've had one or two little problems which I'll sort out, but what we're going to do is for next week, we're going to have half an hour of the show at least where we'll go to the portal, try and get some manifestations coming through. We've got this device to use there now, and also, try and get some physical evidence there so you can take part in the investigations as well. But thank you for listening. It's Nigel Mortimer. I'm saying bye-bye from myself and from Helen, who's not here at the moment, but thank you and God bless you all, and love and light to you all out there. I hope you take that with you, and in the words of my guide Charlotte, in truth, wisdom and light. Okay, see you next week. Bye-bye.